If you are just tuning in, hello, welcome. It's Willard and Dibs. Kevin Durant says, hell no, I don't want to go. And Anthony Slater, our guy, Slates, who was awesome on the roast this morning and thought as of, I think I was driving around about 8:30 this morning, and he's like, I think it's 50-50 on Kevin Durant. He just released an article a half hour ago, says Warriors are moving on.
Oh, boy.
So Kevin Durant is not coming. Where the Warriors go next, stay right here. It literally could break in our show as we lead up to Warriors and Jazz tonight at 6 o'clock, Warriors Live at 5. So there's plenty going on. It changes by the hour. But for me, Dibs, there's absolutely no way around this. Today is an absolute gut punch. Today is a wake-up call to the Warriors organization. They have to admit that maybe we are not the destination that we thought we were. And I've got to think that today has Steph Curry rubbing his temples, because Steph Curry has everybody's attention. LeBron would love to play with Steph Curry. Giannis would love to play with Steph Curry. But it sort of feels today like they'd love to play with Steph Curry, but maybe not here.
Right.
And that's the scary part to me for the Golden State Warrior franchise.
Well, and that leads me to the big question, which would be why? Why would they not want to play with Steph here? And I agree that, Draymond or Kevin Durant, rather, and LeBron would want to play with Steph. They sure seem to have fun with him at the Olympics, and things are great, and KD won with him here and all the rest of it. But what would lead that to be the case this time for Kevin Durant? Is it going back to a place where you chased a championship and you don't want to be scrutinized again? Is it going back to be a teammate with Draymond Green, who it didn't really end great with from a standpoint of you two getting along, or a coach that you didn't always see eye to eye with, or maybe an owner who is more overreaching than what you want? Why would Kevin Durant come out today, reportedly, and say, nah, I'm good on Golden State?
Well, the list could be any or all of those things. And we will constantly be guessing, even though I know a lot of people will decide they know exactly why Kevin Durant was.
Draymond.
Oh, it's Draymond.
It's Draymond. Yeah.
I actually, if it were my guess, it would be many things. It would be many things. I mean, listen to the words of Mark Spears on NBA Today, on ESPN. I mean, it all broke from all the reporters all at once. So somebody sent a text to somebody and said, hey, Durant's not coming. But listen to the way Mark says it, because Mark almost makes it sound like he never was coming, even though his agent, Rich Kleiman, sat with Joe Lacob Friday night at Chase Center talking stuff out. Here's Mark on ESPN.
I was there that last year. He was in Golden State, saw a lot of those games and saw this unhappiness no matter what their success was. Was it Draymond? Was it Joe Lacob behind the scenes? Was it Kerr? There were a lot of things there. And I was told that a couple days ago when Kevin heard about this Warriors rumbling, he was like, what? No, I don't want to go back there. I was pretty adamant. I think he approached the Suns to get some clarity on it. And can you work with me to find a place somewhere else? And from what I hear right now, I just got a text that it's dead. I mean, two things.
The Warriors deal is dead.
Yeah.
For Kevin Durant.
Like they're moving on. It's
okay.
not like.
Okay. So
I just got a text, it's dead.
Well, I want like the intricacies.
Like he
of
checks
this
his phone and it's dead. I mean, it's pretty succinct, right? Yeah.
Flatline.
With a little flatline gif.
The intricacies of what he just said. First of all, two observations. Number one, when I reached out to Kevin and to talk to him about this, his reaction was, did you hear the tone? It wasn't, no, I don't want to go there. It was, what?
Right?
No. Like grossed out by the idea. And then peep this. You hear what Mark Spears just said Kevin did next? He went to the Suns and said, can you work with me? Which tells me Kevin is willing to leave.
Right.
Just not here.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. There's no way around this. This is a really, really tough gut punch for the Golden State Warriors, who fancy themselves as the place, the spot, the player. Oh, man, Chase Center, rings, all of these things. Like, face the facts. How many different people have you chased in the last year and a half that have been like, nah, I'm good?
Right. And this wasn't even like
a lot of people.
This was not even a reaction of like, oh, that's interesting. Let me sit with this. Let me get my piece of paper out You know when you have a hard choice to make in your life and you list the pros on the left and the cons on the right, or maybe you go the other way and you start jotting it down, and you get to the end, it's like, I got 11 pros and 10 cons, and the pros have it. He didn't even have time to get out his piece of paper. His reaction was, wait, what? No, we're not even going to entertain that.
Grossed out by the idea.
And then
that's the way I hear it.
Right, but the follow-up is, hey, Sons, let's put that aside because that's not happening. But while we're having this conversation, work with me because I know someone's going to go, and Bradley's got the no trade, and you want Jimmy, which means either me or Bradley has to go, and Bradley can decide to stay. So it's going to be me. So work with me, Phoenix. Work with me, Ishbia. Where do you want to send me? Where do I want to be sent?
In other words, I don't want to go, but if you're thinking about sending me there, I'll work with you so that you can send me somewhere else.
Yes.
Just so I don't have to go there.
It's just stunning. It's a stunner because he was here. He won here. And whatever him and Draymond went through, they had a podcast and they seemed to clear the air. And we've talked to a number of different people, most of whom thought, yeah, they could probably get back together. They could probably make this work. And yet Kevin Durant reportedly wouldn't even entertain the notion. And so here we are, 21 hours and 40 minutes away from a deadline. And one by one, the targets that everyone's been looking at among the big game hunting, pew, 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 they're not getting green check marks. They're getting red X's.
Red X's.
Yep.
Which are tough, man.
Yeah.
When your phone's got a bunch of red X's on it, that ain't good.
No.
So listen, we see y'all. I want to shout out everybody. The text line is flying. We got over 1,300 people on YouTube right now.
Glad I cut my hair.
Our lines, you look great.
Thank you.
Our lines are completely packed, and we are largely wide open for you. Ohm Youngmasick, NBA reporter for ESPN, is on the scene in Utah with the Warriors, and he will join us in an hour and a half at 4 o'clock. But outside of that, the question is simply an easy one, and that is this news that Kevin Durant is like, hell no. How does that hit you, and what does this mean for the larger now next move for the Golden State Warriors? Because, Dibs, I'll tell you where my mind goes. I firmly believe they're going to make a move, but whatever that move is, it's not going to land the way now they're going to make a move because they know they have to make a move. And if it's Nikola Vucevic from the Bulls, that's going to feel like a settle. If it's Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans, who for a year and a half they didn't want, and now they get him, that's going to ring to me, dude, you traded for someone just because you needed to trade for someone, not because you think that it's the right move. So now I'm getting to a point where I really question the motives of the Warriors as they make a deal, because I now think we've moved to it's not about basketball, it's more about PR.
A little bit, and you could throw out other names, whether it's Zion Williamson, another one who would still, to me, feel like a settle, because
it feels a little different. That one's kind of intriguing and weird. It's intriguing,
but I'm out. I'm out on Brandon Ingram. I'm out on Zion. And really, if you want to talk about Vucevic or Cam Johnson, yeah, those are nice incremental moves. You do get better. They're not headline snatching. They're not sexy moves. And even Valanciunas, who, during the crossover, Steiny reported that he is on the move to Sacramento.
Yep.
That is a kind of player that I would have loved the Warriors to acquire, a real good, versatile big man. So, yeah, it feels like if they do make a move, and I agree with you, they will make some sort of a move, I believe. But what will that move be? And will it kind of feel a little bit like a letdown after all the hype from KD?
There's no question. Like, how do you recover from Kevin Durant? This place has been running around for 24 hours thinking we were getting Kevin Durant. There's no match for that. Even if it's Jimmy Butler, I think that's going to be met with a little bit of controversy. And I'll predict this, and I'm wide open for people who say this. This news is going to make a lot of Warrior fans say, you know what? Forget it. Forget it. Play the kids and get a pick. And I don't think that's crazy talk. I bet a lot of people feel that way right now.
I'm seeing it on the YouTube chat right now. Omar Vergara, tank for flag. I mean, that's a great idea, but it'd be tough to get up into the lottery unless you win the lottery.
Yeah, exactly.
But, the top three have the great chance to get the number one, and he sure looks like the real deal. But I don't even think you're at a spot now where you could tank and have it net what you would want it to net. You're just kind of stuck. And you're stuck. If you don't make a trade, or maybe you make a smaller deal, then you're just hoping against hope that you can get in the play-in, maybe go on a little bit of run, give Steph some momentum, because what you said off the top about this being maybe the first brick in the wall toward Steph getting disgruntled, and I think it's speculative. I think that you've put the horse way ahead of the cart.
It totally is.
This development is something that if I'm in Steph's shoes and you have KD, one of your good friends in basketball, say, nah, I'm good, that tells me that you got to take a step back and really look at the last 2 or 3 years of your career and figure out if this team is ever going to be able to attract another big name.
My guess is Steph for a while has had no problem knowing that the organization had his back and they do everything possible. But if he gets to a point where he sees the organization as no longer able to do what he needs them to do, then what's his next move? And that's my concern. That's my concern today. Let's go to Nene in Arizona. We want to get to as many of you as possible. A lot of you want to weigh in. Hey, Nene, what's going on?
Hi, guys. How are you guys doing?
What's up? We're good.
So my thing is, honestly, I feel like Draymond's kind of a little overrated, not in a sense where he wasn't a good player. And I still think he's a really good player, but he's his best attribute, even when back then, was because he was just the only 6'7", 6'6" guy who could actually handle the ball and defend and be able to run an offense. But the NBA kind of has evolved. There's literally basically half the NBA is that. You have almost like you even have seven foot guys being able to handle the ball and being able to make the calls and pass. So I feel like he's overrated, and I feel like they should come off of him so that they can maybe get a little momentum. And I actually disagree with Kerr when he says we have a lot of depth. No, you just have a lot of players that are good at just one thing at a time. No, seriously, like Moody can shoot and he can.
I'm chuckling because I agree with you, Nene. I'm chuckling because you got a point.
You really don't have depth. You lack depth, if anything. I think your problem is not the lack of a star player. It's a lack of players that have versatility.
Nene, it's a good call. Thank you very much. And
to her point, you have depth, but as I've said, you've got a bunch of 7th, 8th, and 9th men. That's your depth.
Well, and the Draymond point, I like that, she's putting it more about basketball than about the emotional side of Draymond, although I think you could argue that both of them right now are working a little bit against the Warriors and acquiring someone.